We are back here again looking at some movers and shakers of the week right now in the Pokemon market. We're in July. Okay, we're halfway through July. We're just about to have Black Bolt and White Flare release on us this week, which, you know what? I'm getting a little bit more excited for. But today we'll be looking at some more movers and shakers of the week. And I'm also going to be going through a few of hand-picked cards myself of what has been going on. So some surprising stuff has been going on. So we will look at TCG Blair today of everything that has been moving and shaking apparently. And I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on those cards that they have in their article, and I'll be giving you guys a few extra cards to look out for as well of what's been going on right now in the Pokemon market. So let's get into it. Okay, here we have the biggest movers and shakers. I always enjoyed reading these. It's really interesting to see as well because like they show cards that I wouldn't necessarily look for, right, or look at and see what has been going on. Some of these things kind of escape me really, so it's always quite interesting. So first off, we've got the Bubble Mew. This one's a really interesting one, right? We're going to take a look at this, mainly because the Bubble Mew or Paldean Fates as a whole has been doing really well, right? You look at the seal product, been doing very, very well. Like the ETBs, the bundles, everything is just doing extremely well. And it's kind of weird because the set isn't been out that long. Hasn't even been out 2 years. So, but yeah, I mean, the Bubble Mew has had a weird journey, right? You look over the past 3 months, and we can see this card has dipped a little bit. Not like it's not crashing or anything like that, and it's going up a little bit like recently. We could take a look at the past year and we can see the growth of this card, right? So it was around $90 for like the longest time, right? And it just sat around there, especially the majority of last year. And then when it got to like the winter months, we started to see it tick up. And I remember when it reached over 100, maybe like 150, something like that. And I was like, wow, over to the Charizard. Like this is actually, making some sweet, sweet moves. And then eventually went all the way up to $421, which is crazy. And you look at the PSA 10, like over $1,000 at the time. And with the market booming and the Mew in full swing, when I was at a card show, like the start of February, $406, I was looking at this card and people were selling it for like raw. It was like £350 people were pushing for at these card shows. And then the graded price, yeah, you're looking at close to £1,000 for a PSA 10. Big money card, this Mew. Is cooling off slightly, right? I mean, I say slightly, it has dropped over $100, which is a lot of money, but it is still higher than it was a year ago and so on and so forth. I think that the Bubble Mew in the long run will become very, very sought after. I think it will. It's not an easy card to pull. It really isn't. And like I say, Paldean Fates Sealed is getting more and more expensive. Even though we've had like a slight restock of booster bundles, we had a small restock of the tins as well. We're not getting like the ETBs and just the sheer volume of stuff for people to open up now regarding Paldean Fates. So as I said, the Bubble Mew is on its way back. I'm one of many Pokemon collectors who identified this as one of the best modern day holds. Interesting fact, when the card was $90, I remember I made a video talking about how good the Mew is, and I think it would overtake Charizard, right? If I was like, this card is so unique in its art and everything like that, it will overtake the Charizard. That was my guess when the card was $90. Charizard was like $180 at the time. And it's like, hang on a minute, this card's half the value of the Charizard. And now look where we're at. Like the Bubble Mew is pretty much twice the value now of the Charizard. So, hey, look, called it, which was, I didn't expect it to be this much, but I did called it, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, it did reach 400 at its peak. Since then, the price has, slowly dipped and it's, getting around that 300 now. Interesting thing, how low will it go? I don't really expect it to fall that badly. I don't. And the reason why is because availability. Paldean Fates hard to get hold of, and that would help. And I think the uniqueness will help this card as well. Speaking of other big cards, we got the Magikarp coming in from Paldean Evolved. This one's had, again, a pretty interesting journey as a whole, but recently, a lot of big chase cards for all the different sets, we've seen them cool off quite a bit. We've seen them drop a substantial amount, more and more packs again open, and so on and so forth. Paldean Evolved kind of goes in the same boat as Paldean Fates. It's relatively old now. It's getting expensive and very difficult to find. Like, it's really like tough to find packs in like collection boxes and tins because they didn't actually put that much Paldean Evolved in those collection boxes and tins compared to some other sets, which was really apparent at the time. When you were seeing the early collection boxes and tins getting released, and it was like, wait a minute, these have, Skyfire Base, they have Obsidian Flames, they got Paradox Rift, but they don't seem to have Paldean Evolved, which was very, very odd. And now we're seeing Paldean Evolved booster boxes be pretty pricey as well. But yeah, it's getting pretty tough. And it's a tough card to pull as well. We're looking at $232. It did take a little dip over the past 3 months to around about 190, and it has regained some of its value, which is pretty good. But if we could look at the past year, this one hasn't dipped that much. I mean, it was an all-time high at nearly 280, so it dropped around about $80 or so in value, which is a lot, right? It did drop $80 in value, but it's now starting to see an uptick. It says here, one of my top 3 favorite cards in my collection and one of the most exciting printings of the last few years. This gorgeous piece of art appeared back in 2023, of course, with Paldean Evolved, 2 years old now, and it is the chase card. I mean, you had the Ono that was holding the ground to begin with at the start of the set release, but then the Magikarp soon just, boom, took over. I remember when the card hit like $80, and it was like, wait a minute, what's going on with this Magikarp? And then bang, it just kept going, really. It was like Magikarp topped out at $280 back in February, and since that time it has fallen as low as $180 market price last month, but a strong week for the Carp saw its market price climb from $210 up to $227. Like Bubble Mew, it's not necessarily the percentage gain that's striking, which is about 7%, but it's the fact that we're seeing any movement at all when the conventional wisdom and frankly the data suggested that the Bubble Mew might finally be bursting. I mean, it just hasn't, right? Or the bubble as a whole, not the Bubble Mew. It says not the Mew right there. Look, I wouldn't say it's like the bubble bursting, but I would definitely say it's like single cards. They're full in value because so many packs get opened. That's the main reason. Like the main reason why we're seeing the big chase cards continuously fall is because so much stock is. I think so much stuff is getting opened. It's kind of weird. It's like there's not much stock getting the market to some extent. It's the fact that what people have, they're just cracking it as soon as they get it. It's just an insane amount. So less people are opening up Paldean Evolved. There's less of it around. Same with Paldean Fates. That's why. I bet if we looked at stuff like 151 or Prismatic, for example, where they're getting open so much, same with Surging Sparks, and you probably look at like Journey Together, there's some rivals, you're going to start seeing stuff. Oh, just the way it goes. Then we have Mewtwo EX. I have never seen this card before in my life. This is from Breakthrough, so XY era. Personally, I'm not a fan of Breakthrough, but this is some very interesting art, I must say. $164. This one is extremely colorful. What the hell? So over the past year, this card went from 42. This card's quadrupled in value. What the hell's going on here? Bubble Mew isn't the only Mewtwo spiking. Breakthrough released way back in 2015. Yeah, I dread to think how much a booster box of Breakthrough is these days. Practically ancient times when it comes to the supply of most chased Pokemon cards. Oh, of course. Since then, various prints of Mewtwo that were featured in the set have retained their value of around $50 to $75. Things change quickly in the market, and today, this Mewtwo is on an absolute tear. I mean, yeah, it's quadrupled in value. The price has doubled up to $150. It's gone up even more in the past 3 months alone. Hey, look, if you like this card, I think it's really cool, unique. If you have this, maybe, I don't know how much it is to get graded, to get it in a 10, but maybe get it graded and, hey, it's looking pretty sweet. And even if you don't, I mean, just holding it as raw is just crazy stuff. This is kind of crazy. Gengar and Mimikyu GX tag team. This is just like the regular tag team GX, like no arts or anything like that. I tell you what is absolutely bonkers is like, back in 2022, I was collecting a whole bunch of tag teams, regular tag teams like this one, but I don't actually have this one. I don't think so. I might have a look. If I do, I'm really happy. But no, I was getting a lot of tag team cards because I like the artwork. I like tag team. I like having like artwork that have multiple Pokemon in it. And now look at it, right? This is a prime example, and I can see there's got another one coming up. This is a prime example of cards where insane, right? And this is just a normal tag team. It's just a normal GX. This isn't, alt arts and tough to get. This is just from a really expensive set. People love tag teams. I do. But I need to check to see if I have this. I'm pretty sure I don't, which is a shame because, we're looking at $215 for this card. Just in the past 3 months alone, this card has nearly doubled in value. Over the past year, we saw the low point of this card be around $50, and now it's over $200. The print of the Gengar and Mimikyu GX from 2019's team up also gone bonkers in 2025. Yeah, I mean, it actually has, right? After briefly spiking in over $100 last year, before falling back down to $60, the second spike, as it so often does, came harder and more pronounced than the first. So you imagine that it spiked up to over $100 last year, and you're like, whoa, crazy. And then it dipped, back down to 60. And you bought in at 60. Whew, baby, you're doing really well. Gengar and Mimikyu GX soared past the $200 market price threshold this week, with several copies going for as high as $275. Good lord. And full art Gengar and Mimikyu is moving in tandem, jumping from $100 to $250 in the past 3 months. Then we've got the Pikachu and Zekrom. This is the full art. So I actually have the non-full art version. I think I got multiple of the non-full art version, but I don't particularly have the full art. Personally, I'm not a fan of full arts, but there we go. From Team Up, of course, $108 for this one. 3 months ago was $60, nearly doubled in value over the past year. We've seen this card again around $50 and is more than doubled its value over the past year. Again, Team Up. That's the way it is, right? Looking at the rest of the set, Pikachu and Zekrom GX full art has a big week, jumping from just under $100 to nearly $108 in market price in a week. That's actually pretty good. This represents a double up in price in the past 2 months. Even the basic printing, I was talking about this one, like this one here, that one, which I do have, has exploded from $15 to $40 in the last 2 months. Damn, I think I got a few of those. I need to go and check those out. Then we got the Magikarp and Wailord GX as well. This one's pretty cool art. $508. What the hell's going on here? Right, so let's take a look. Over the past year, damn, this card's doubled in value from $250 to over $500. Again, it's Team Up, isn't it? Anything Team Up, gold dust. Alternatively, the Magikarp, so it says here the alternate art, Magikarp, Wailord, and GX coming in. Is in the process of spiking right now. I mean, with the market price climbing from $400 to $450 over the last month, well, it's now up to over $500. More importantly, this run was the breaking point on the underwater pair, because live listings for near-mint copies of it are all now over $700. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And then it says, finally, because no Pokemon TCG article can be complete without talking about Umbreon. Oh, okay. All right, we're getting to Umbreon. So we got the Umbreon. I think I talked about this recently. Like, Celebrations stuff is popping off a little bit, right? The sealed products popping off. The single cards are popping off, especially in the classic collection. And a lot of the set was opened. Like, it was opened so heavily. But we're coming up to that 30th anniversary next year, which everybody's talking about. We don't know if Pokemon's going to release a set for it. I would assume they will. Will it be along the same lines as, like, Celebrations or Generations and stuff? Probably, most likely, right? So we have here the Umbreon coming in, classic collection, currently $63, seen a huge spike, and it's come down a little bit since, but around $40-ish. And then you go back a year, look at this. This was like a $15 card for the majority of last year. Then we saw a slight climb up to $20. Then at the start of this year, went up to $55. Then started to cool off a little bit, dropped to mid-30s, and then bang, doubled in value. So it says here the first spike on the Umbreon start actually came at the beginning of the year when the price climbed from $20 to $55, right? Quite suddenly. And then it cooled off from there. So that's what I said, it dropped down to that mid-30 to 40 range. But over the past week, Umbreon star's taken off again. Today you're looking at somewhere closer to $70 for a near mint copy of the card. And it has dropped a little bit since then by about $10. So yeah, we're seeing it across the board, with a lot of big celebration cards. It wasn't just the Umbreon, like the shiny Magikarp, the Rayquaza in that set is going up. The Charizard isn't, which is kind of strange. Birthday Pikachu's climbing as well. So there are some cards in that set that we are seeing, substantial growth on. So it's interesting to see what will happen over the next year as we get closer to the 30th anniversary. But, if you like that nostalgia, personally, I'm not a huge fan of the celebration stamp, but I know that a lot of people do like the cards anyway. So keep an eye out. Celebrations. Doing well. And then one more card I want to talk about today is the Charmander promo, the Pokemon Center promo from the ETB. But this one has been falling. This one was a big ticket card, huge money. I mean, it's interesting. Nobody wanted Obsidian Flame, especially the ETBs, and now they're like, oh my god, they're amazing, right? By the way, the promos are fantastic. This thing, though, has dropped quite a bit recently. So let's take a look at this. So it's dropped 38% over the past 3 months. We go back over the last 6 months, and we can see this huge drop in this card. I mean, it was up to $175. We go back over the past year, and you can see, I mean, yes, it's up on the year, but you can really see that big, huge drop. It's interesting, right? We saw a big buyout around, Black Friday, basically, and then it went right up, bang. Started this year with a big boom and everything. It peaked $175, and then since then, it's lost about $80 or so, $70, $80, nearly 50% in its value. within, within just a few months, which is quite surprising. I mean, it's still up 137%. I mean, at that point, it was up 314%. So yeah, this card has dropped quite a bit, right? 317% down to 137. So it's dropped 80% from its, from that sweet top. So very interesting to see what has been going on there with the Charmander. Definitely keep an eye out on this one. I think it will do well in the future anyway. So if you haven't got this card, now might be a good time to pick it up. But it has cooled off a little bit. So keep that one in mind. So you have it, guys. Those are the movers and shakers of the past week with a nice little extra card thrown in there with that Charmander. A lot of stuff is happening. A lot of stuff Scarlet and Violet era is cooling off. There are some cards that are holding relatively good value, with that Magikarp holding strong. Bubble Mew bouncing back a little bit. Pretty much anything Sun and Moon right now, especially team-up cards, tag team cards, you name it, doing incredibly well. It's interesting to see, as we approach the end, as we get closer and closer to the end of summer, which we'll look at, of course, as we go along, whether or not we'll start to see some prices actually start to tick up. Normally we have the summer lull, which we like to talk about, and that's where things tend to drop in price. But I think it's just the sheer volume of packs that have been opened. The sheer amount. I mean, anything that touches the market just gets bought up very, very quickly. That's why we're seeing sealed product go up and up and up, just because it's being bought out so quickly. And it's being opened. It's being opened at such large volumes, not just from people just independently buying it themselves and just enjoying it, but also, you have a lot of people that are ripping so many packs on platforms like Whatnot and stuff like that, and just the sheer volume of it being opened like never before. It's very, very interesting to see that you're all of the Scarlet and Violet is dropping like crazy. Sun and Moon, you can't get hold of that type of stuff. So it's really, really expensive, really hard to find. That's why that's going up. I wouldn't be surprised if towards the end of this year we might see an uptick in Sword and Shield stuff. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, of course. If it's fun the video and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button, make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content. And guys, let me know down in the comments, which one's your favorite card from today? Are you looking to pick up any of these? Do you have any of these? I mean, I really want that Charmander Pokemon Center promo. I don't have it. I never actually bought an Obsidian Flames ETB, even when they were cheap. I never bought one. So I do want one in my collection. I might try and get one in an Ace 10, because I think that'll look pretty sweet in that label. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Celebrations, I'm not a huge fan. Like I say, I have a lot of the Celebrations cards. But it's very, very interesting. Team up. Well, I'm going to look to see if I've got that Gengar and Mimikyu. I'm pretty sure I don't, but I need to go and have a look. Anyway, that is it for me, guys, in today's video. For more Pokemon content, make sure to click the video on the screen. And of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You guys are legends, and I'll see you next one.